We might unreflectively think of ourselves as lone believers, out there in the world trying to figure out everything for ourselves. But the truth is that we're as interdependent when it comes to believing as we are in other areas of life. Just as we rely on the farmer, the trucker, and the grocer just to get food on our table, so too we trust our teachers, friends, reporters, and religious leaders in our attempts to form true and accurate beliefs about the world. There are pros and cons to these kinds of interdependence. On the positive side, it frees us up to focus on doing the activities and answering the questions that we really care about. But it also comes with costs. Relying on others means that we could be affected by their mistakes, and that we often inherit their errors. Assuming that we want to continue to enjoy the benefits of social life, that we don't want to go off the grid and face all of life's challenges on our own, there are things we can do to make sure that the trust we place in others is rational. Today, we're going to talk about 3 of these strategies in particular. We've all heard stories in which people who are generally rational join some sort of group or organization and end up doing things that they never otherwise would have done. This isn't always a bad phenomenon. I might find the strength to run a marathon or permanently give up smoking by joining a fitness club or a gym. But our susceptibility to social influence should be guarded against, as much in the realm of belief as it is in the realm of action. The danger lurking in this neighborhood is a loss of what philosophers call intellectual autonomy. Intellectual autonomy is an internal sense that allows you to determine for yourself what you think is true. Now, such autonomy isn't of absolute value. There are many questions on which you're not best positioned to get at the truth. For instance, I'm not a nuclear scientist. So if I need, for whatever reason, to know how fission works, I'd likely just outsource this bit of thinking and consult an expert with the relevant knowledge and experience. But these philosophers nonetheless think that maintaining intellectual autonomy is important, even if it means sometimes withholding belief on important questions, because it's a necessary part of making up your mind. And without it, you'll become overly dependent on external sources of beliefs. The first of our strategies, then, is something we can call the intelligibility test, and it involves asking yourself a simple question. For any given claim that you find significant but surprising, you can start by asking yourself, does the claim even make sense to me? If the answer is no, remain skeptical but open-minded. It's easy to forget sometimes that belief or disbelief aren't the only options. We can leave a number of questions completely open and return to them later when we've got more skills or background knowledge. There are, of course, times in which you'll need to make up your mind about the truth of some claim, even if you can't personally verify it. In such cases, then, we have to rely on external markers of reliability. The simple test, which we could call the authority test, is to ask ourselves this: why should I think that this source is reliable? There have always been false authorities and phony experts, of course, and so one way of implementing this test will be to see if you can come up with 1 or 2 or 3 positive reasons for thinking the source in question is reliable. The point here is to seek what philosophers call justification for the broader framework, and weigh this along with the credentials of the individual that you're working with. The final strategy that we might employ is what we can call the coherence test, and it consists in asking whether the claim in question conflicts with something you already know or believe. The strategy here is to compare claims against your background set of beliefs, and let existing beliefs trump new beliefs when there's a tie in the likelihood of truth. The idea isn't that everything you already believe is true. It probably isn't. But that maintaining a set of beliefs that is coherent overall is itself a valuable thing. For one thing, coherence of beliefs tends to correlate with the truth. But here's another reason. There's significant danger in ending up with an inconsistent collection of beliefs. even though you could, in theory, maximize the number of true beliefs that you have if you didn't control for cohesion, you'd often end up practically paralyzed when it came time to implement those beliefs. For example, suppose you accept every claim made by anyone who claims medical authority. If you did this, you would end up believing that Tylenol is dangerous and that it's healthy, that it'll kill you if you take it, but also that it's the only thing you can take. A broader strategy, of course, involves trying to acquire intellectual virtues that are likely to lead you to the truth, and embedding yourself in a community of believers or an institution that you think is similarly intellectually virtuous. This strategy comes with its own set of challenges and obstacles, but as social and dependent creatures, we're often better off seeking the truth together than any of us would be doing it on our own.